Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you have been here before. If this is your first time watching, I am a software engineer with over a decade of experience, and I have been working in senior or technical lead capacity for the past several years. Until now, I have been quietly live streaming my interview prep, but I haven't really introduced myself or shared the full story behind it. That changes today. A few months ago, things started getting really tough at work. It was uncertain times at the company where I was working. The market was really tough as well. There were layoffs happening everywhere, and I realized that I couldn't afford to wait or coast anymore, and I had to prepare seriously, or I would regret not doing it when I had the chance to do it. So, like a lot of engineers, I got back into interview preparations, solving the data structure and algorithm problems, and revisiting the system designs. But honestly, it wasn't going anywhere. I had a few Notion templates created to track my progress, and also I was tweeting or using some other means to keep myself accountable. But deep down, I knew that it wasn't enough. I wasn't consistent and I wasn't feeling motivated to work on these problems. And that's when the idea hit me. I always wanted to create content as well. So, what if I just live stream my interview prep? Not to go viral or not to gain few subscribers, but with the intention of teaching something useful and also to keep myself accountable as well. So I started streaming, just me solving problems even when nobody is watching. And that one shift completely changed the way I prepare. It made me more focused, more consistent, and over time, a little more confident as well. I ended up landing multiple job offers, and I will be joining as a staff software engineer in one of the e-commerce companies. So in this video, I want to walk you through how that journey played out, and more importantly, how live streaming turned out to be the best tool I didn't know I needed. If you are a professional trying to learn, trying to grow, or to stay sharp, or to just get out of the rut, maybe this is something that is useful for you. Let's get into it. When I started live streaming, I wasn't expecting anything magical to happen. I just needed a way to show up. At that point, I wasn't exactly unmotivated, but I wasn't fully locked in either. I would just sit down to prepare, open a LeetCode problem, and 10 minutes later, I'd be distracted scrolling through some Slack or Reddit. I knew what I had to do, but it wasn't just clicking. Live streaming changed that. The moment I hit the go live button, something shifted. Even if no one was watching, I had to stay present. I had to finish the problem and I had to think out loud and explain my thinking and stick with it because I had already committed to it or committed my agenda in the live stream. That light pressure, it helped me take my goals seriously again. Now I'll be honest, like in the beginning, I spent a lot of time setting up the live stream and designing the thumbnails and things like that. It took a lot of time actually, and there were some tons of technical issues as well while setting up the live stream in the OBS setups, and also there were some minor things that I needed to improve. I would spend a lot of time on those things, but over time I got better at it. I started noticing some patterns. I figured out what worked for me and what was wasting time, and then I had my setup which was much smoother than before, and I had a pattern for thumbnails and other things that I had created. I wasn't doing any additional editing or much additional editing for the live streams, and that freed up more space to focus on the real work, that is solving the actual problems. What I really cared about after the beginning phase was that if someone showed up to the live stream, they should leave with something useful, a clearer explanation, a helpful walkthrough, or a way of thinking that that simplified the problem and made it less intimidating. And honestly, that helped me more than anybody else. It made me think deeply and it forced me to explain clearly, and it kept me focused session after session. Before live streaming, I was just going through the problems like in a routine fashion. I would solve one or two problems and just call it a day. But But once I started streaming, I would block out like a real chunk of time, like 4 to 6 hours, and commit to solving like a set of problems, like 7 to 8 problems in a session, without any distractions, no excuses. It was just showing up and figuring out the solution. And over time, it started becoming like a habit, something I looked forward to, not because of the camera or the YouTube channel that I had, but because I was finally making real progress towards my goal. Once I got into a rhythm, I didn't follow a rigid daily routine, but I did get intentional about how I spent my time. I would usually schedule interviews in bursts, scheduling 4 or 5 rounds over a couple of days and then block the next few days purely for preparation. After a recruiter sync or initial tech screen, I would hold off and schedule the virtual on-site only after I felt fully ready. During these prep windows in between the interviews, I would go live for like 4 to 6 hours at a stretch. And I wasn't just grinding blindly. I was focused on the high value problems, or I was identifying the questions or the patterns, and I was trying to prepare for those. Most sessions revolved around the blind 75 list of coding, and also the questions that frequently appeared in companies like Meta, Apple, Amazon, etc. And yes, I live stream few system design sessions as well. I walked through standard questions and reviewed some common concepts. That practice also helped me stay confident in the system design rounds. Behind the scenes, I had everything organized in few Notion pages, like the company pipelines, the interview progress, and the frequently occurred problems and things like that. That helped me stay organized. Like it kept me grounded, and when things felt chaotic, helped me to take a step back and see what's next and what's important. It helped me figure out like where I was spending more time and what I'm lagging behind as well. But in spite of all that, the hardest part was just showing up, especially when there was nobody watching in the live stream. There were streams where I was literally talking to myself at midnight, just trying to complete what I committed to. I didn't care about the time, I didn't care about who was watching. I had to just finish what I said I would finish. But over time, something beautiful happened. A few regulars started showing up, people who would tune in consistently, drop a question in the chat, or just silently stick around till the end. And honestly, that meant a lot. I can't thank them enough. They kept me going during those long, quiet sessions. I genuinely hope the streams helped them in some way. If you're one of them, know that I'd be happy to guide or support you in any way I can. The more I focused on making my explanations useful for others, the more I learned myself. I improved my problem solving clarity. I learned to debug out loud. I became more comfortable under pressure, because it was like every stream started to feel like a mock interview for me. And slowly I stopped needing any further motivation, because showing up became a part of the rhythm, and it became like a second nature or a habit. After a few weeks of consistent streaming, I could feel it. Something was changing, and not just in how I solved the problems, but in how I thought through them as well. My explanations were getting sharper. I was talking through my approach more clearly, and I started noticing something important. I wasn't separating the logic from the code anymore. It just started flowing together naturally like muscle memory. Earlier in my prep, I had hard time managing time during the interviews. I would take time to explain my approach, and then more time to actually code it. And before I knew it, would be in the last few minutes in the interview. Through live streaming, I developed the habit of explaining while coding, and that made a massive difference. It saved time, it made me sound more fluent, and it helped me stay in sync with the interviewer's thinking as well. In my later interviews, especially with companies like Meta, I was solving two problems consistently or comfortably with the time limit. In other rounds or the other companies, I would finish the main question within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the interview, and the rest of the session would be for follow-ups or optimizations, or even talking through the edge cases, or sometimes just talking with the interviewers, chatting about the work and the team, etc. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly I started enjoying this round. Interviews weren't high pressure anymore. they felt like an extension of what I was already doing in the live streaming session every week. And I wasn't cramming, or I wasn't kind of stressed the night before the interviews. I was just ready, because live streaming kind of turned my prep into a rhythm, and it was like a habit for me, and that gave me a real confidence. Once I built that momentum, I started doing mock interviews, some as candidate and a few as an interviewer on platforms like Exponent. That gave me a whole new perspective. I picked up patterns in how others approached problems. I noticed how small things like clear communication or asking the right clarifying question could really shift the tone of an interview. And then the offers started rolling in. I wasn't scrambling to land any job. I was I was able to make decisions. I had multiple offers to choose from, and that's when I realized how far this process had taken me. I ended up selecting the offer that aligned best with what I cared about: the kind of work, the team culture, the learning curve, and the impact that I could make long term. And of course, the comp and location preferences as well. I'll be joining as a staff software engineer at a top company, continuing in a technical lead capacity. But now I have much more clarity and ownership in this new role. And honestly, I'm just grateful. I can't be more thankful, because this journey, starting from a point where I was stuck and where I wasn't even sure how to begin, has brought me to a place where I feel I'm excited and prepared for what's next. Looking back, I started live streaming out of accountability. I just wanted a way to stay on track with my learning. But what I found was much more than that. It became a space where I could show up consistently, improve how I think and solve problems, and get better at communication, all while helping few others who are on the same path. Even on the days when no one was watching, I stayed, because I had made a commitment to myself to finish what I started. And when few regular viewers started showing up, it turned into something even more meaningful. I wasn't just preparing for interviews anymore, I was learning in public. I was building confidence, developing discipline, and turning my prep into a habit. So, if you are someone who is trying to level up, whether you are learning to code, prepping for interviews, switching careers, or just trying to stay consistent, I hope the story gave you something useful. If it did, please do me a small favor: hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment with where you are in the journey. I would love to hear your story. And if I can help you in any way, I'll definitely will. I'll be sharing more of my learning journey here, continuing to live stream and adding more structured content as I go. So if you'd like to be a part of this, or even just quietly follow along, you are more than welcome here. Thanks so much for watching. Let's keep showing up, let's keep learning, and let's keep building together. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.